Alright, so we are going to do this exit ticket, solving trig equations. And it says for all equations, we're going to solve for x is between 0 and 2 pi. I will tell you right now that for this first one, this is going to be where you're going to use your calculator. And then for 2 and 3, you're going to use your unit circle. Right, so let's do number 1. 3 times the cosine of x equals 2. First thing I need to do is divide both sides by 3. And I get that the cosine of x equals 2/3. Solving for x, so I'm going to take the inverse of each side. And because I took the inverse, I have to give all possible answers, not just that restricted domain that we did in that other section. It's going to be all possible answers between 0 and 2 pi. There is no cosine of 2/3 on the unit circle, so this is where we're going to use our calculator. So whenever I have to use my calculator, I draw myself a picture. And I realize that cosine being 2/3, that means it's positive. The answers that I want are on the right side. So I'm going to make nice big circles here because these are the ones I actually want to fill in. I'm not going to fill in these two. I don't want these two. I'm going to remind myself that this is 0. This is 3.14. I believe, let's see, pi divided by 2, let's see, pi divided by 2 is approximately 1.57. This is about 1.57. This is about 6.28. And down here, 1.5 pi is 4.71. Okay. So I kind of set that up for myself. Then I go to my calculator. It needs to be in radians, so I make sure it's in radians, and it is. And then I'm going to go to inverse cosine of 2/3. And I get 0.8. Let's just go to 2 decimals. Well, I guess we can go into 4. We'll go to 4. 0.8411. So x equals 0.8411. Which would be right here. So I have one of my answers. And remember, that means that this is 0.8411, this is 0.8411, this is 0.8411, and this is 0.8411. So the other answer I need is this one right here, which means I'm at 6.28 and I'm going in the negative direction, 0.8411. So that would be 6.28, which is 2 pi, minus 0.8411. So I'm going to go to my calculator, 2 pi minus 0.8411, and I get 5.4421. 5.4421. So these are my two answers for what x could be, and they're between 0 and 2 pi, or between 0 and 6.28. All right, let's go to number 2. I'm going to subtract 2, and I get that 6 times the sine of x equals negative 3. I'm going to divide both sides by 6. And I get that the sine of x equals negative 1/2. Take the inverse of both sides. So x equals the inverse sine of negative 1/2. And I want all possible answers because I chose to take that inverse. And so I want all possible answers on my unit circle from 0 to 2 pi, where sine, which is the y coordinate, is negative 1/2. So I go to my unit circle, I'm looking for y coordinates. The y coordinates are negative down here, so I'm going to look down here. Right here, it's negative 1/2, which means if it's going to be yellow for one of them, it's going to have to be yellow for the other. And look, it's also over here. So it's 7 pi over 6 and 11 pi over 6. So x equals 7 pi over 6 and 11 pi over 6. Let's go to number 3. Going to add 4 to both sides. And I get 2 times the tangent squared of x equals 6. I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And I get that the tangent squared of x equals 3. Now I take the square root. Because I took the square root, I need to give all possible answers. So tangent of x equals plus or minus the square root of 3. Take the inverse. And I get that x equals, because these tangents cancel, the inverse tangent of plus or minus the square root of 3. So in other words, I want to know where the tangent is the square root of 3, whether it's positive or negative. So I want every possible time where the tangent has the number part being the square root of 3, whether it's positive or negative. And remember, I list my tangents on the outside of those ordered pairs. I start looking, and I realize, oh, there it is right there. There's a tangent that's the square root of 3, which means it's going to be on all of my blues. Because look, this is the square root of 3. Here on this blue, it's negative the square root of 3. Down here on this blue, it's positive the square root of 3. And on this blue, it's negative the square root of 3. So it's all of my pi over 3's. So I need to list them all. So x equals pi over 3, 2 pi over 3, 4 pi over 3, and 5 pi over 3. Oh, sorry, it's not showing you that. Mistake. I do that a lot, don't I? I'm so sorry. So it's each of my pi over 3's, because on my unit circle, it was all of my blues where the tangent is the square root of 3, or the negative square root of 3.